Hello everyone and welcome to Sunburned Albino ranks all the Dark Souls 3 bosses from easiest to hardest. I don't really have an intro, let's just do the thing this is. Number 1, Ancient Wyvern. Ancient Wyvern is the easiest boss fight in Dark Souls 3 because it's not a fight. It's a leisurely stroll through Dragontown where you're free to stop and kill the snake drakes or just brusquely push past them because you got places to go and wyverns to slay. The mobs aren't very aggressive, some even bordering on docile, as you clamber your way up bridges and ladders to relaxingly position yourself above the wyvern's head for a plunging attack that will be a one-hit kill and instantly end the battle. Unless, of course, you glitch through the boss and fall and die. I didn't know that was an option, but I much prefer the one where I win instead. Number 2, Deacons of the Deep. As an altar boy in my youth, this boss dredges up some unpleasant, molesty memories. This Catholic gangbang is the end game of the Cathedral of the Deep area, and defeating it gives you a small doll, which I can only assume belonged to some poor, violated child. Whichever deacon is glowing is the one you need to kill to lower the collective health bar, until the undead pope decides to join the party and become the permanent target. He's rather displeased that you interrupted his early season's only Wonder Years marathon, and he expresses that frustration by walking around a little bit sometimes. The only real attack the Deacons have is a curse orb that I found out the hard way can travel through pillars, but they have to share their energy with the Pope, pervy spirit bomb style, for a long time to pull it off. I actually really like this boss fight. Church and pedophiles are two of my favorite things. Number 3, High Lord Wolnir. Wolnir's love of accessories is his downfall. He's sporting 3 fuck bracelets that blast away his health when you destroy them. I don't even like that show. Doesn't mean I can't borrow terms when I want to. Destroy the one on your left first. It'll become less accessible as the fight goes on, and the arena fills up with skeletons and black fog barf. You don't get to see a lot of what he can do in this footage, and I apologize for that, but I can't help how badass I am. I had to kill Fatty McBallerina in Vort's area 13 times before he dropped the Winged Knight Halberd for me. I'm allowed to relish in its power. It's not a great weapon, but I like it a lot, and it only gets replaced by the profaned greatsword for the last 4 or 5 bosses. Number 4, Youre the Giant. You'd expect the Lord of Cinder to be a little more formidable, but then you wouldn't be facing Youre. At first glance, he seems bulkier than a pregnant cheerleader. You're doing no damage to him, and you get the feeling the father's not ready to give up his trick vaping passion to be a dad. But then you notice the glinty glow of an item in the distance, and once picked up, the Storm Ruler must be equipped mid-battle, something I struggled with in a way that embarrassingly led to my death the first time, hence the souls on the ground. Inventory management under pressure is stressful. Charge the Storm Ruler by holding L2 until it brightens up your day, and then keep L2 held while you press R2 to unleash a devastating shockwave of force that brings Youre to his knees and does about 5,000 damage. Wash, rinse, masturbate, and repeat. What? And you'll have that giant toast in no time. Number 5, Iudex of Gundyr. I don't know. Whatever. This is my favorite tutorial boss across all Souls games, because it blends the aesthetic of looking badass with the necessary breeziness the fight should be. His movements are so smoothly framed, but somehow retain an almost puppet-like grace. It's not hard for me to imagine invisible strings attached to all his armored muscles. But don't let his beauty fool you. He'll take his glaive and slice up your tendons like vegetables for a salad. That is, if you're dragging your feet enough to actually get hit by his attacks. About halfway through the fight, he'll allow his host body to be overtaken by a gigantic black serpent demon, in typical Souls game fashion, where he gains big claw attacks and the Dark Souls patented ass crash maneuver. Strafing left consistently around him is a good way to not die, but if established tactics are too pussy shit for you, feel free to do whatever the hell you want. You'll still probably have a good chance of coming away with the victory. Number 6, Vork of the Boreal Valley. Vork is a brute. You're just trying to leave the area, but he has to damply teleport into your business because of his abandonment issues. Well, too bad, Vork. I'm getting out, and there's nothing your fat black fabric ass can do about it, no matter how prominently you display it as a target. Garden variety pokes and smashes make up his arsenal till you wound him to half, where he'll show off his best impersonation of a freight train and run you the hell down, multiple times. Time them dodges. After Frost Breath inevitably misses its chance to critical hit because you're faster than a 3-second wind-up time, he becomes much more wildly aggressive, but there's still pattern to his male baldness, so don't panic. Keep working that prostate. He'll be begging you for weekly exams. Number 7, Champion of Gundyr. This pumped-up version of Gundyr takes a fight I already liked and turns it into an actual matchup. Champion's much more relentless and now incorporates more of his body parts into his attacks for some reason. No one likes to be gut-kicked 10 feet in the air. Quit showing off your physique. He has the power to delay his swings for a ridiculous amount of time, making you waste 3 or 4 rolls before the attack would actually connect. But the boss being stronger doesn't make much difference when you're a lot stronger. Still a cakewalk. Number 8, Crystal Sage. I feel like this is a boss you either destroy or get destroyed by. There's not really a middle. If you're gonna die, it'll be when his clone's spells are timed in such a lucky way that they combo you to ever after, and if you're gonna win, it's because you can sprint around all his attacks being like water and gushing all up in his beaked face. As long as you're continuously striking the sage, it'll interrupt him and all his doppelganger's abilities, so go buck wild in his raggedy skirt and they just can't take it. The annoying way he likes to prolong his demise is by casting Homing Crystal Soul Mass, so it hovers above him, just waiting for you to bonsai so they can take you to church in a casket. Crystal Sage isn't a hard boss by any means, but it doesn't mean he can't be frustrating. Number 9, Curse-Rotted Greatwood. I think the first time I saw this fight was in a Proactive commercial. It has you running around popping zits on a giant tree's hands, feet, back, and ambiguous genitalia to deal a set amount of damage. These smaller enemies litter the playing field, praying to the thing, but their god has no concern for its flock as it smashes into pieces in pursuit of you. Once you pop its pussy boils the first time, the boss will get understandably upset and ass crash the ground, breaking it and sending you and its denizens plummeting 100 feet down into a cave where they all die and you don't somehow. At this phase, it grows a giant skinny witch hand that protrudes out above its dick balls. This hand is your worst enemy. When it's not playing slapjack with your face, it's trying to grab you whenever you even get near its genital warts. And don't think you're safe while it's resetting position, because you can be crushed by its elbow at any time. In addition to these attacks, the boss is also fond of unleashing its pineapple dandruff to rain down upon you, ass-crashing pools of diarrhea, and if you're very lucky, it'll stand up and fall over, which gives you ample time to whack its arm for damage. This boss is divisive. It's one of those ones where a lot of people have no trouble at all by it, and a lot of others think it's a pain in the ass. I think it's a pain in the ass. Number 10, Old Demon King. This boss is like if your rickety old grandpa was a fire sage. He's got old in the title for a reason. It shows. The fight starts with him struggling to get up, and ends with him struggling not to explode and die. Giant clubs can only be swung so many different ways. There's nothing really new here mechanics-wise, although he does have a cool flaming ring AoE you can avoid by trying to, a little. Once his health gets dangerously low, he gives off one last explosive blast of fire in a final effort to murder you before he collapses to the ground and gives up. I've never seen a boss give up before, like, screw it, I can't win. Don't worry, I'll make it quick. Number 11, Abyss Watchers. Likely your first Lord of Cinder, the Abyss Watchers are about as bloodborne as the bosses get. I'm reminded heavily of the Maria fight in the old Hunters DLC, only with a greatsword instead of, tits. It begins straightforward. Singular Watcher is pretty interruptible, and while he has some neat combos, it's nothing too difficult to get around. Then he has a pal show up to try and make the fight more taxing on you, but that is quickly nullified by another seemingly pal, who decides now's the time to get bored playing Skyrim, go rogue and turn on everyone. Alliances are shady. Consider it a free-for-all where you can let them take each other's aggro until you feel comfortable jumping in and finishing the job. Only you're not done when the Watcher's health dissipates. No, as if old Maria herself were leeched dry in a room with no gravity, all the blood collects over the dead Watcher and proceeds to light itself on fire and infuse into his sword. I think there's a science textbook that explains that somewhere. Bloody fire, fiery blood, either way, Watch Mojo's got some nifty new powers. Places where he was opened before must be approached a different way, thanks to trails of fire that run along the ground with some attacks. The fight is awesome, to be sure, and it's not very difficult when you get the hang of it. Number 12, Dancer of the Boreal Valley. The Dancer is a really cool boss. No arguments there. It moves so elegantly while it flames and darks you to death. I just wish I had more time to experience that side of the boss, because I don't know what kind of nutty RNG I triggered, but the Dancer wanted to hold me close and squeeze me tight so bad that she grabbed me 3 fucking times over the course of 30 seconds. Is she readying a sword swing? Oh no, grab? Okay, yeah, keep impaling me, bitch. Big deal. Look at my amazing display of vigor. Soft cap 1,000 health right on the nose. You think you can take it all? You're sorely mistaken. Oh, you thought I was down and out. Now, girl, I'm gonna hit you back after I drink my goddamn soup. Baby, please, we can't keep going like this. My wife's getting suspicious. Oh, come on, girl, don't be like that. You know you're still my favorite trick in the book. It's just you're messing with a married man, which inherently puts you, as the hoe, at a disadvantage in life. Anyway, yeah, the Dancer fight. It's fun. It's cool. It's not too easy, not too hard. Sprint away from that continuous tornado blade and be prepared to get pissed off at how many of her attacks just look like she's harmlessly adjusting herself. Number 13, Aldrich, Devourer of the Gods. Can I just say that this boss looks absolutely nothing like how it was shown in the trailer. It's still cool, I just expected like a giant sludge snake. Instead we got a chick wearing a veil. Even so, she is the greatest tiny object swarm attacker of all time, be it energy balls or thousands of arrows at a time, which makes this the kind of fight where you're going to tank some light damage buildup. You can attack her body or her poop tail. I didn't notice the damage difference between them. Her melee attacks are slow and one-off, so if you can get in close, that's where you want to be. They'll be on the lookout for Dark Pulse AoEs and her arrow horde. All in all, not a difficult battle, but it is an Estus drainer for sure. Number 14, Dragonslayer Armor. Oh, this boss. Dragonslayer Armor. Oh, this boss. This battle is of epic proportions. Dude's got a gigantic lightning axe and a spiky round great shield. This is my first time fighting the boss solo, and I'm surprised at how badass I look. Armor's not afraid to bash you with his shield just as much as his weapon, and the hitbox of a circular implement is new to adjust to. But as forwardly macho as he has a sneaky side too. When you hit him enough, he'll drop into what looks like visceral attack state, but as you fail to execute one, you find it was all just a ploy to make you leave yourself open so we could create a shockwave and knock you flat. Or he was stunned and just knows how to counterattack. Either way, no fair. Once you start to think you're going to come out of this fight the winner, the little flaky moth dragons floating around the field decide to take interest in the proceedings and hurl nasty fire mud at you. Since there's no real way to manage the camera to see them and the boss at the same time, it's going to come down to luck, whether or not you get singed lethally. Beating the Dragonslayer Armor lets you transpose his soul for his axe, which is one of the strongest weapons in the game, I'm told. Number 15, Soul of Cinder. Is the Soul of Cinder your character from Dark Souls 1? It pretty much does everything you do. It's got miracles, sorceries, fire weapons, and the second half even channels Gwyn and adopts some of his moves. This is another first solo attempt at a boss that goes exceedingly well, all things considered. Your first phase has him just be a garden variety sword-wielding boss, but when you deplete all his health, he turns into Soul of Gwyn, or essentially so, and like with all flame sword users, the fire has a dumbass amount of reach. One particular combo he has will light you up and trap you no matter how many hits you dodge beforehand. It was cool despite seeing myself flying through the air and landing in the dust. I think it's a fitting end boss. Engaging, but without being frustrating and overwhelming like Gwyn was in the first game. Number 16, Pontiff Sullivan. Now this boss I like. Cool, quick, tries to combo you, succeeds a lot. This is a stylish encounter that will test your dodging skills. Mostly, it's easy to tell what attacks are coming and how to roll to avoid them, but there are some strikes that are delayed just a bit longer than you think they would be. Half-ish way into it, Sullivan creates a dark icon of himself that telegraphs every move he is about to do. You can kill the Dark Lurker, which does bring the fight back to a fair 1v1, but in doing so, you could be losing valuable information. I kept it alive in my fight, not really by choice, but just because I wanted to prioritize the actual boss, because I expected to have a lot of trouble beating it, but this victory came during my third attempt. We all experience shit differently. Number 17, Twin Princes. Lorien, Elder Prince, will be the first to greet you. He must have just been involved in a very long car ride, because he seems to be unable to stretch his legs. Having the fine motor skills of a toddler doesn't hold him back, though. He swings that sword fast and often. And who needs to use their legs when you can teleport anywhere at any time to continue the combo chain you were in the middle of? Those teleports can be confusing. A lot of times there's no telling whether the strike after the reappearance will be instantaneous or delayed. Once you've zapped his health, Lothric, the younger prince, will crawl on his back and somehow believe he's not a gigantic liability there. You can expect the same attacks from Lorien, while Lothric feebly casts lightning spears at you from the safety of his brother's shoulder blades. They can come at very inopportune times, though. At this point, Lothric has a separate health bar that must be drained to win the fight. If Lorien dies again, Lothric will revive him to full health, climb right back on his back like a weak little plague-ridden koala, put the terminally ill kid out of his misery, and you'll get yourself some cinders. Number 18, Nameless King. Nameless King, probably most badass boss in the game, comes in like a wrecking ball atop a flying dinosaur chicken, tamed the shit out of that monster. They became fast friends. Now they're partners in death dealing. Chicken Bird can only be damaged on his head in the first phase, though magic users can hit the king himself to do damage as well. Very vulnerable to visceral attacks, I must say. Once the dragon is dead, Nameless King is looking for vengeance with his lightning spear, which is totally not fair that he has control over wind and lightning. Like, pick one. You're hogging the power pool. He is a difficult boss. He's the second hardest in the game from where I'm standing, but it's the kind of boss that requires a steady hand and methodical rolling. It's easy to panic when he launches some of his impressive attacks, but just keep your head on straight and they're all easily dodged if you know the timing. Also, chug Estus. Number 19, Osiris the Consumed King. Fuck this boss, fuck this stupid bloodborne squid-backed parental guardian moose, and fuck his dumb ocelot bitch-ass kid, too. I hope he gets sickle cell and you have to watch him fade away slowly as his fingers become too weak to grasp your hand on his deathbed, and his will states that he'll leave all his earthly possessions to a taxidermist if he'll mount your head on the wall. You Canadian bullwinkle, blood-starved, beast-acting motherfucker. And why do you have dialogue during the fight making me mash X to shut you up? You gonna talk me to death? Or is it more likely that you'll stampede across my body till I'm flat as a crepe? Because any mistake during that animation spells certain doom for me. I'm not even here to kidnap your dumb kid, but since you won't stop wagging your tail at me, maybe I'll end your lineage for good measure. Did I mention you're a lanky, crack-addled antler skeleton? So why do I do no damage to you? I've seen starving African children with less of a thigh gap. I'm amazed you don't go down in one landmine. Yes, Osiris is my hardest boss, much to the chagrin of most people, but you can't tell me I'm wrong. Osiris wasn't your hardest boss, as if you have some dominion over my opinions. I died the most times to Osiris. I'm the least confident in my ability to beat Osiris. Therefore, Osiris is my hardest boss, and I hate him. The Nameless King is learnable. These other bosses are learnable. But Osiris will trample over your hopes and dreams and instantly charge halfway across the map to sit you the fuck down. I know there are ways to get him stuck. Hell, I did it by accident in one of my attempts. But I'll be damned if I'm gonna let this pompous, gristly reindeer force me to exploit the game. Osiris is Dark Souls 3's Rom the Vacuous Spider. 90% of people didn't understand why I put her as the hardest boss in Bloodborne, and 90% probably won't get this. But what can I say? I'm quirky. So that's my list. I'm sure you've much to fume at me over, so the comment section is of course free for that. I started my footage collecting playthrough of the game at 7 p.m. and finished it and the script at 7 a.m. where I have still not slept even as I say this. So do feel more inclined than usual to like, share, and subscribe. I am mildly counting on this video to be popular so I can justify to myself what I have done. I'll see you guys next time.